Welcome back to Books with AR. Chapter 90, The First Indication. The first layer of the Underworld Ascension method was complete. The meridian in his dantian was ready to be opened. Wang Lin calmed himself and transferred 1/3 of the yin energy outside of his dantian towards his dantian. The yin energy didn't enter his dantian, but surrounded it and started to charge into the black hole. Although with every charge there was some lost, the yin energy became more and more fierce as it kept charging in his dantian, as if it was waging war. After a long time, the black hole started to crack, and at that moment, Wang Lin quickly transferred another third of the yin energy from his body. In one move, he opened the meridian in his dantian. For an instant, Wang Lin felt extreme pain. The moment the black hole broke, the mysterious power started to fill his body. Wang Lin didn't even blink. He started to charge the next meridian. This time, it took a lot longer than before, and after seeing that there might not be enough yin energy, Wang Lin added the remaining 1/3 of the yin energy into the yin energy stream. The yin energy stream formed a swirl that was several times larger than the previous one. The swirl spun faster and faster, meaning the time for the breakthrough was close. Night slowly came. Wang Lin was still in the late stage of the breakthrough. The swirl was still spinning, and because it was spinning so fast, it looked like a nebula. Although it looked very slow from the outside, in reality, it was spinning too fast for the eye to see. All the way until midnight, when the yin energy was most dense, Wang Lin's body was still like a black hole. There was a swirl of yin energy 20 feet wide spinning around him, quickly being absorbed. Within 10 feet of Wang Lin, it was like a meat grinder for yin energy. All of the yin energy was being devoured at an insane speed. The massive amount of yin energy was absorbed by Wang Lin and instantly added to the swirl in his body. The swirl became larger and larger, until it was almost out of Wang Lin's control and still growing unrestrained. He was immediately stunned and wanted to stop, but found that he could no longer control the swirl as he watched it grow larger and larger. Wang Lin started to become nervous, as there was no record of this in the records of the Underworld Ascension method. Wang Lin didn't know that the reason the Underworld Ascension method was called a demonic technique was because the variations were too great. Some were very beneficial, while others would kill the user. And Situ Nan was still asleep, so Wang Lin had to resolve this himself. As the swirl grew, the suction force grew as well, and the 10-foot radius quickly increased. This was a very vicious cycle. The wider the range, the more yin energy it will absorb. The more yin energy meant the faster the swirl will grow, meaning more yin energy will be absorbed. 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet. All of the yin energy within 100 feet started to move violently as it rushed toward Wang Lin. This large movement of yin energy affected all of the yin energy within 1,000 feet, causing it to move as if there was a giant hand guiding it. Wang Lin had already completely lost control of the swirl, and after an unknown amount of time, his dantian broke through with a bang. This was the second time his dantian broke through, and just like the first time, it formed a black hole in his dantian. The change in his body immediately caused the yin energy absorbed to move as well. If Wang Lin was endlessly absorbing yin energy from the surroundings, that suction was now devouring it. In a moment, all of the yin energy within 100 feet was instantly devoured by the black hole, causing an even more widespread disturbance of yin energy. Soon, the swirl increased from 100 feet to 150 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, 500 feet, 700 feet, and eventually more than 1,000 feet. If one looked from the sky, they would witness a very shocking scene. All of the yin energy was violently surging around one center point. In the depths of the ruins, the strange blue person was holding the body of a beast in his hand. He bit off a chunk of meat and started to chew it when he suddenly turned to Wang Lin's direction and revealed a shocked expression. He quickly threw away his food and ran towards Wang Lin like a frightened rabbit. After walking a few steps, he paused and noticed that all of the yin energy was rushing towards the same direction. He hesitated a bit, but continued. However, he stopped at 3,000 feet away from Wang Lin's location, and his expression became even shocked. As for Wang Lin, at the moment he made his breakthrough, all of the changed spiritual energy quickly gathered in the black hole in his dantian and fused together. The moment all of the spiritual energy fused back together, he gained some control of the swirl in his body. However, the amount of control was very small and not nearly enough to stop the swirl of yin energy inside him. Wang Lin clenched his teeth. He decided to quit trying to stop the absorption of yin energy and to break through a third time. Under Wang Lin's control, the large amount of yin energy smashed into his dantian. His dantian shattered into many blue specks, and within the blue specks was a dark blue crystal. Large amounts of yin energy surrounded and entered the dark blue crystal. The crystal's color got darker and darker until it became green. The 3 breakthroughs were easily completed, and a cold core appeared in Wang Lin's dantian. Many small hands extended from the cold core and reached every part of Wang Lin's body. The spiritual energy in his body quickly underwent change after the appearance of the cold core. Wang Lin was still surrounded by yin energy, and he had a feeling that if he kept absorbing the yin energy, he would explode. This feeling was confirmed when he started to feel a sense of swelling. Wang Lin clenched his teeth again and decided that it was all or nothing. He moved the yin energy and decided to attempt the 4th breakthrough. C2 Nan had pointed out that the 1st, 4th, and 7th layers were extremely hard because those were the first times one attempted to make a breakthrough in the dantian, qi si, and ancestral meridian. One was supposed to stop after making the 3rd breakthrough in order to nurture the cold core before attempting the 4th breakthrough. But the spiritual energy in Wang Lin's body had already mixed with the vast yin energy, and because he needed to expend it, he could only attempt the 4th breakthrough. The qi si in his chest opened. The yin swirl slowly raised upward until it reached the qi si and started to spin faster again. The swirl endlessly devoured yin energy. Wang Lin tried to break through time and time again, but he failed each time. The sky was slowly starting to light up. The yin energy within 1,000 feet slowly dissipated until all of it disappeared. The qi si in his chest still remained unopened. Wang Lin finally understood why the Underworld Ascension method was so difficult. He had already tried to open his qi si over 100 times, but he failed every time, and every time it failed, he lost some yin energy. The large amount of yin energy was gradually used up by all of the attempts to break through. Along with the fact that day arrived and all of the yin energy dissipated, the remaining yin energy was slowly absorbed by Wang Lin's cold core. Wang Lin absorbed too much yin energy this night. All of the spiritual energy in his body underwent a change and changed to yin spiritual energy. In terms of quantity, Wang Lin could clearly feel that his yin spiritual energy amounted to twice as much as his spiritual energy from before, meaning that he was now at the peak of early-stage foundation establishment. He opened his eyes and recalled what had happened last night. Although he was alarmed, he was mostly weighing the pros and cons of this type of cultivation. The unexpected occurrence during his nighttime cultivation opened up a new way of thinking for him. The advantage of this type of cultivation was self-explanatory, and the con was that it was too dangerous. One wrong move and he would explode. But thanks to this experience, he'll have full control next time, and that will lower the danger. Wang Lin muttered, "It seems I have to find a new shelter. Although the amount of yin energy is great, the quality is too low to satisfy my needs to make a breakthrough. Right now, Wang Lin's chance of a breakthrough is too low. But according to the records, the higher the quality of the yin energy, the better the chance for a breakthrough." Wang remembered the test he did a few months ago and remembered that the pillar around the stone bead was high quality rank 1, so he made his decision. At the same time, the sky outside the forest suddenly darkened as an old man releasing a huge pressure silently appeared. He looked at the forest below him with a powerful killing intent in his eyes. "Emmer, Grandpa Tai is here to get revenge for you." The person who came was the Teng family ancestor, Teng Huayuan. He cursed during the entire trip here, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find the exact location of his grandson's killer. It was as if there was some fog blocking him. He was unable to determine the exact location, but knew that the killer was in the jungle below him. As for this jungle, it was a place he didn't want to venture into unless he had no choice. With just a scan, he could tell how dangerous it was, and that it contained a being that even he didn't dare to mess with. But because of Teng Li's death, he couldn't be bothered by much. He believed that as long as he was very quiet and only searched for his enemy, the powerful being wouldn't mind. After pondering for a while, he clenched his teeth and charged into the forest. Within the depths of the jungle ruins, the lid of a coffin opened without a sound. A withered hand, glowing black and purple light, slowly appeared from within the coffin. The hand gripped hard, and suddenly a purple ball of lightning appeared in the hand, releasing a dangerous aura. "The 100-year time is up. My master, you gave up your body to run away before, but this time you won't be able to get away." Chapter 91. Extreme Yin Spiritual Energy. Teng Huayuan carefully walked through the jungle with his divine sense spread out. His face suddenly lit up with joy as he found Wang Lin. Just as he was about to teleport, a gust of eerie wind blew, followed by a somber voice. "Get the hell out of here!" Teng Huayuan's expression suddenly changed. He quickly backed up a few steps without a thought and looked around. He only saw a dark fog flying in from the distance. The dark fog was surrounded by eerie winds. A withered hand extended from the dark fog and reached toward Teng Huayuan. Teng Huayuan scanned the fog with his divine sense and became frightened. This person's cultivation level was mid-stage Nascent Soul, causing him to back up again. The withered hand lightly waved. A giant hand appeared and tried to grab Teng Huayuan. Teng Huayuan wryly smiled. He turned around and ran without any hesitation, because a mid-stage Nascent Soul cultivator was not something he could mess with. He knew that there was a powerful cultivator here, but he didn't expect it to be a mid-stage Nascent Soul one. Teng Huayuan disappeared in the blink of an eye. The hand let out a cold snort and disappeared as well. Teng Huayuan appeared in the sky outside the forest. His expression suddenly changed as a giant hand silently appeared behind him and mercilessly grabbed toward him. Teng Huayuan secretly complained. He quickly took out a beast skin, he pointed with his hand, and the beast skin wrapped around him and moved him away, barely escaping the giant hand. Despite all of this, he was still hit by the fingers of the giant hand. He coughed out blood and his face became pale, but he quickly escaped without even looking back. A black fog appeared in the air. The fog slowly shrunk until it revealed a person. The person was completely dried up and looked like a bag of bones. He looked at the direction Teng Huayuan escaped toward. However, he didn't chase, but returned to the forest. He calmly flew around back and forth in the jungle as if he was looking for something. Shortly after, he stopped above an open area. He stared at the ground without any emotion. He slammed the ground with his hand, and with a bang, a large crack appeared in the ground. The moment the crack appeared, a scream came from the ground as a dark figure flew out, trying to escape. The withered man let out a cold snort, and a cage surrounded the area. The dark figure hit the cage and bounced back. It no longer tried to run away, but kneeled down and started kowtowing. The withered man slowly said, "After not seeing it for 100 years, I didn't expect Master's body to turn into a zombie and even form its own soul. You are still considered someone of my generation, so I can let you live, but you must use your connection to the Master to help me find him." The zombie quickly nodded as he stared with fear in his eyes at the withered man. The withered man waved his hand and the cage disappeared. He stared at the zombie and darkly said, "Come, take me to Master. If you can help me find Master's Nascent Soul, then once I devour it and free myself, I'll help you evolve into a demon." The zombie was startled and revealed a joyous expression. It quickly nodded and ran off into the jungle. The man emotionlessly followed. At that moment, somewhere in the ruins where the sunshine didn't reach, the blue-skinned man looked toward Wang Lin's direction with a lingering expression. As for Wang Lin, Although he had absorbed a large amount of yin energy, it was all only rank 6 or 7 good quality. With this quality, no matter much was absorbed, the change to his spiritual energy was not much, and it was no longer good enough for him to make more breakthroughs. He turned his gaze to deeper in the ruins. His target was over there. He decided to explore a bit and find where the highest quality yin energy was. After all, the higher the quality, the higher the success rate of a breakthrough. At midnight of this day, Wang Lin's hand formed the seal for the yin energy detection technique as he walked through the ruins. After walking a distance, the red light flashed rapidly, and with a pop, it split into 2. The moment the red light turned into 2, Wang Lin revealed a happy expression because he knew that this meant that the yin energy had surpassed ordinary quality and had reached good quality. As he kept walking forward, the 2 lights kept glowing as the rank increased. Good quality rank 2, rank 3, until rank 5, Wang Lin stopped. Before him was a wide road with a ruined building on each side. It was clear that a long time ago, this was a very populated area. Wang Lin calculated the distance for a bit and realized that he hadn't even traveled 1,000th of the radius of the city, so he started to move faster. The red light released by the technique was very eye-catching in the night. Wang Lin's divine sense was spread out, constantly checking his surroundings. The quality of the yin energy kept increasing. Good quality rank 6, rank 7, rank 8. On the night of the 5th day, he had entered the depths of the ruins. He guessed that his current position was the center of the city. If it was not the center, it was not far from it. On the way to his current location, he saw dozens of deep pits, meters wide, filled with rainwater. There were also mysterious snakes that would jump out at Wang Lin with their poisonous fangs. In addition to this, the destruction in the ruins became even worse. On the path to his current location, there were no structures taller than 10 meters. Besides the overgrown grass area, there was a swamp. There were also some mysterious creatures living in the swamp. Once, Wang Lin was almost eaten by one of those creatures, making him even more alert of his surroundings. Despite going so deep into the ruins, the quality of the yin energy never reached dense quality. On the night of the 5th day, he walked out of the swamp, and before him was a large group of buildings. Although all of the buildings had collapsed, you could still see how populated this place must have been. The most eye-catching spot was the 1,000-meter wide and 100-meter deep hole in the ground. This giant hole was very strange. Normally speaking, this hole should be filled with rainwater after all these years. Wang Lin's eyes squinted, and he focused his gaze on the countless beehive-like holes at the bottom of the giant hole. Although he didn't know how deep the holes were, all of the water must have drained through them. He touched the holes and found that they were damp, reaffirming his previous thoughts. After carefully checking the surroundings and finding no danger, he sat down cross-legged and waited for night to come. The sun set and night came. As the yin energy flooded in, all of the beasts ran away, not willing to spend the night here. The light before Wang Lin became brighter and brighter as it turned from 1 to 2, then from 2 to 3. Normal quality rank 4, 6, 8, 10. Good quality rank 3, 6, 10, and broke through to dense quality. It was still not midnight yet, and the quality of the yin energy had already reached rank 1 dense quality. Wang Lin exposed a happy expression. He spread out his divine sense and found that the reason the yin energy quality was higher here had something to do with the holes in the ground. He could see slivers of yin energy coming out of the holes and mix with the surrounding yin energy. As time passed, the red light shone even brighter and reached rank 2 dense quality. When midnight arrived, the yin energy had reached rank 5 dense quality. Wang Lin no longer hesitated and quickly started to cultivate. With more and more yin energy gathered at his chest, he found one difference. The purity of the yin energy was more than 10 times higher than before. A change in quality could cause a change in quantity. This meant that 1 minute of gathering yin energy now was like more than 10 minutes of gathering yin energy before. Soon the yin energy at his chest started to form a swirl and spin. As the swirl spun faster and faster, the unexpected change that occurred last time happened again. The yin energy within 100 feet of Wang Lin fluctuated and rushed toward him and was devoured. As the yin energy that swirled in his chest grew larger and larger, he started to feel like he was losing control. Knowing his limits, he controlled the yin energy to start attempting the first breakthrough of his qi. The yin energy swirl was like a spinning blade, repeatedly stabbing at the qi to open it. Slowly, the qi showed signs of opening. The sign grew stronger and stronger. If you compared this breakthrough to trying to destroy a stone wall, then this wall was now filled with cracks and was ready to collapse. After 1 hour, the qi was no longer able to withstand it and collapsed with a bang. Large amounts of human potential exploded from the qi like a volcano. It quickly mixed with the yin energy, forming a very powerful yin force. Currently, the spiritual energy in his dantian became restless. It quickly moved toward the newly formed yin force and started to devour it. Whenever a sliver of yin force was formed, Wang Lin's spiritual energy would devour it to strengthen itself. Gradually, as Wang Lin's spiritual energy devoured all of the yin force, his spiritual energy became even stronger. A nebula-like scene appeared in Wang Lin's qi. Waves of blue spiritual energy spread out from the nebula. Wang Lin felt the very strange spiritual energy in his body. His eyes lit up as he lightly touched a stone next to him. In an instant, there was a flash of blue light, and the stone was completely frozen, releasing yin energy. Wang Lin took a deep breath and quickly kicked the frozen stone. With a series of crackling sounds, the stone broke into many pieces. Wang Lin carefully checked and quickly sucked in a breath of cold air. Upon closer inspection, he found that the internal structure of the stone was constantly changing. This was no longer rock, but more of an ice crystal structure. In other words, with one touch of his spiritual power, he didn't just freeze the stone, but completely changed its structure to ice. Wang Lin didn't know this, but after a session of devouring the yin energy, his spiritual energy had undergone a great change. Even if Situ Nan was awake right now, he wouldn't be able to figure this out. In ancient cultivation times, besides the different ranks in cultivation level, there were also 3 ranks for spiritual energy, which were Ji, Dao, and Shi. The 3 realms weren't ranked in any order, but advanced in parallel. Once a realm had been entered, one could not switch to another realm. The difficulty to enter the 3 realms wasn't high, but it wasn't easy either. It all depended on luck in the end. In ancient cultivation times, any knowledgeable cultivators would know not to choose the Ji realm. While the offensive power of the Ji realm was high, there were too many drawbacks. One of the most deadly drawbacks was that once you walked the path of Ji, you could only use Ji spiritual energy, which presented a huge issue in breaking through to the spirit severing stage from the Nascent Soul stage. Spirit severing required one to integrate with the world and not walk an extreme path. However, even with those downsides, the Ji realm also had a lot of benefits. It could be said that people of the same cultivation level could not defend against the Ji realm at all. Although one had no chance of reaching the spirit severing stage, after reaching the peak of the Nascent Soul stage, one could become the number 1 of everyone below the spirit severing stage. More importantly, with the increase in cultivation, Ji realm cultivators didn't even need magic treasures because their Ji realm's spiritual power was already the most powerful type of spiritual energy. As for the Tao realm, it was the dream of all cultivators. Once your spiritual energy entered the Tao realm, then entering the spirit severing stage was very easy. Because of this, the Tao realm was the most sought after realm in the ancient cultivation world. As for the Shi realm, if Ji realm was death, then Shi realm was life. It was not a realm people below spirit severing could comprehend, and even for spirit severing cultivators, it was something they could only wish to have. The three spiritual realms were very difficult to grasp, and with the destruction of the ancient cultivation world, the information about the three realms gradually disappeared. The cultivators nowadays don't care about the type or quality of their spiritual energy. The only thing they pay any heed to is their cultivation level. Wang Lin didn't know this, but because of all the yin energy he devoured, his spiritual energy changed to the Ji realm. The reason for all this was because of the Underworld Ascension method. It was one of the few methods that could create Ji realm spiritual energy. However, the Underworld Ascension method C2Non gave Wang Lin was not like the one from the ancient cultivation world. With the passage of time, parts of the methods were lost, and it was their successors that reorganized the remaining information. As for Wang Lin's spiritual energy entering the door to Ji realm, the most important factor was the heaven-defying bead. Wang Lin stared at his fingertips, and his eyes lit up. Just at that moment, he raised his head and jumped out of the hole. He looked and saw the blue-skinned man quickly closing in. Chapter 92. Corpse Yin Sect. 1. Wang Lin chuckled. He no longer felt much hostility toward this strange blue person. He felt like stretching his body, so he quickly dashed forward like a rabbit. The distance between the two quickly shortened. When the strange blue person saw Wang Lin charging toward him, his eyes locked onto Wang Lin, ready for battle. However, he let out a laugh when he noticed that Wang Lin wasn't using the green sword. He stopped, completely forgetting the reason he came here in the first place, and prepared for battle. Without any hesitation, he ripped off a talisman that released a blue gas. He sucked the blue gas into his body, and his aura suddenly became a lot stronger. His eyes revealed a serious expression as he spat out a few words in his strange language, as if he was trying to tell Wang Lin something. Wang Lin knew that the talismans on the blue man were very strange. Even after receiving a heavy injury from Wang Lin with just one talisman, the blue man was able to completely recover. After that, Wang Lin became very curious about the talismans. Now, the strange man ripped off another yellow talisman, and his strength suddenly doubled. Without a word, Wang Lin waved his hand. His spiritual energy cycled through his body, and his aura suddenly changed as well. Slivers of blue energy hovered around him. A cold aura surrounded his body, and an extremely cold expression appeared on his face. The strange man's eyes lit up. He opened his mouth and spat out a word that Wang Lin could understand. Strength. With that, he formed a fist. His arm glowed and grew larger as he threw a punch at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. The in-spiritual energy inside his body came out and formed a fist that collided with the strange man's fist in the air. In the moment of impact, the strange man entered a strange posture. He had one foot on the ground while leaning toward the left, and he started breathing in a strange pattern. Suddenly, a gust of wind swirled around with him as the center, blowing away all of the nearby rocks, creating a clean, open area around them. Wang Lin's face turned red, and he involuntarily backed up 3 steps as he stared at the strange man. The strange man's heart was in even more of a shock than Wang Lin. He could clearly feel the strange yin spiritual energy entering his body from Wang Lin's fist. The cold energy spread out throughout his body with waves of extreme coldness. If it wasn't for all of the strange symbols on his body, which helped him contain this cold energy, his whole body would have already been frozen solid. Looking at his right hand, which was completely frozen, he was horrified to find that all of the muscles and bones in his right arm had become ice. He looked at Wang Lin with his face pale and said another word Wang Lin could understand. Ji? Wang Lin didn't say anything because he didn't know what Ji meant. He shook his head. The strange man was stunned. He ripped off another talisman, causing white and green-colored gas to appear. After the gas disappeared, his right arm returned to normal, but Wang Lin could see that his arm was trembling. He looked at Wang Lin and let out a snort. He blabbed for a while before finally leaving. Wang Lin looked at the strange man until he was gone, then sat down to recall the battle. The energy in the strange man's punch was very strange. It didn't seem to be spiritual energy, but some other type of energy. Strength. He remembered the word the strange man shouted before throwing that punch. Ignoring the strange punch the strange man threw, Wang Lin was very happy with the power of his in-spiritual energy. He named this type of energy that could change the structure of things Ji-Yan spiritual energy. Ji. This is what the strange man said after seeing his power. Wang Lin muttered to himself, "It is about time to leave. Once I reach the 5th layer of the Underworld Ascension method, it will be time to leave. I must find more extreme Earth Yin locations. I must." Wang Lin knew that he must find Extreme Yin because, in order to break through to higher layers of the Underworld Ascension method, he would need higher quality Yin energy. Although the ruins had dense Yan energy, Wang Lin knew that the Yin energy here was only around rank 10 dense quality. It may reach rank 1 extreme quality at most. It has to be said that among heaven, earth, mystery, and underworld Yin energies, the difference between mystery and underworld wasn't big, but the difference between them from earth and heaven was enormous. Rank 1 good quality Earth Yin energy was the same as rank 1 extreme quality mystery and underworld Yin energy. As for the heaven Yin energy that one could only wish for, just rank 1 ordinary was as good as rank 1 extreme quality mystery and underworld Yin energy. While he was pondering, he lifted his head and saw that the strange man was returning. After the strange man came back, he gestured to Wang Lin. The strange man pointed to the surroundings, took a deep breath, and then vigorously shook his head. Then he pointed to Wang Lin, then himself, and made a bunch of gestures. Wang Lin gradually began to understand what the strange person wanted. It seems the strange man wanted Wang Lin to follow him. Curious, Wang Lin nodded. The strange man moved very fast. He was very familiar with the surroundings and avoided all of the dangerous pits in the swamp. The strange man even entered a fissure in the ground and went into the tunnels underground. After a while, Wang Lin was shocked that they had traveled past the vast swamp area so quickly. 2 days later, the two of them arrived at a deserted corner of the ruins. During these 2 days, the two of them had only stopped to rest once. After they arrived, Wang Lin noticed an intact tower nearby. At the top of that tower was a stone bead about 2 meters wide. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This stone bead was almost exactly the same as the one in the ruins. The strange man didn't stop and climbed to the top of the tower. He formed a few seals and touched the stone bead. A ray of light shot out from the stone bead toward the center of the ruin. From a distance, the pillar of light seemed endless. After doing all of that, the strange man jumped down. He waved his hand toward Wang Lin, and the two of them left the place. Time passed. Wang Lin followed the strange man, going from one bead to the other. In most places, the towers had already collapsed, but the stone beads were all in perfect condition. One by one, the stone beads were started, and the lights all shot toward the center of the city. When the last stone bead, which was the first Wang Lin saw, started, the entire city seemed to have changed. Along the way, Wang Lin secretly calculated that there were 8 of these stone beads. The strange man looked into the sky and revealed an anxious look. The two of them rushed toward the center of the city without any rest. At dusk on the 4th day, the two arrived outside the center of the city. The 8 pillars of light were gathered here. The strange man stopped and bowed. His eyes were filled with devotion as he let out song-like words. As his voice became more and more acute, the earth shook as a 100-meter-tall statue arose from the ground. The statue rose halfway before stopping. The statue was that of a man with long hair. The man looked quaint, his eye intelligent, and his hand held 100-meter-long spear as he looked into the distance. Around his body was a coiled dragon with its mouth open, as if it was going to attack. The scales on the dragon were so detailed that they almost looked real. The 8 rays of light gathered at the statue, and the eyes of the statue became brighter and brighter. Wang Lin felt like the illusion of this man with long hair was alive. After the statue appeared, the devotion in the strange man's eyes became even deeper. He waved at Wang Lin and urgently pointed at the mouth of the dragon. Wang Lin pondered a little. Without a word, he jumped up several times and arrived near the dragon's head. The moment he got up there, he felt a powerful yin energy coming from below his feet. Wang Lin immediately sat down and formed a seal, making a red light appear. The red light immediately split into 4 and flashed rapidly until all 4 exploded. Wang Lin was in shock. He knew that this meant that the energy in this place had reached the limit of underworld yin energy. It reached extreme quality. Surprised, he quickly started to cultivate and absorb the yin energy. However, this time, the suction range wasn't large and was focused entirely in the few meters around him. From a distance, it looked like a red sphere had appeared and surrounded the dragon's head. Wang Lin sat there for 5 days. In these 5 days, the strange man waited and became more and more anxious each day. He looked into the sky as if something was going to be attracted by the statue. The 9 talismans on his body moved without any wind. Clearly, he was ready to take them off at any time. The key sea was finally opened on the 3rd day and reformed in the early morning of the 5th day. The 5th layer of the Underworld Ascension method was complete. One more step. Then he could form his 2nd cold core. When that was complete, he wouldn't fear late-stage foundation establishment cultivators anymore. Even now, he no longer feared mid-stage foundation establishment cultivators. Next, he tried to raise the quality of his yin spiritual energy by mixing in the extreme quality yin energy. While he was controlling the fusion, he was also observing his own spiritual energy. He noticed that his spiritual power turned darker and darker and went from blue to dark blue. He didn't know that his spiritual power was even closer to the G realm. At that moment, the world suddenly changed. The sky darkened and the clouds moved as if someone was pushing them with a large hand. Dark fog gathered until it formed the shape of a coffin. An illusionary figure slowly appeared on top of the coffin, its body quickly becoming more solid. A hoarse voice came from the sky. "You mean to say that Master's Nascent Soul is hiding inside this statue?" The strange man's expression changed greatly.